Guys, welcome. Now, this looks a lot like our last two homeworks, but something's different, right? I'm solving for the missing side. I'm solving for the missing side length. And so interestingly enough, do you see how they actually give us the reference angle? And it's not a letter like A, B, or C, it's a number. Okay, so let's go through the steps for success. And many of us already probably set up a lot of these in class. So step one is step one is draw the triangle, okay? But it's already been drawn for us, right? Step two is find the reference angle and label the sides. Okay. So the angle they're talking about is this angle 27. So in reference to that angle, this would be opposite. The longest side is hypotenuse, opposite the right angle, and this would be the adjacent side. Adjacent, okay? So draw a triangle, find the reference angle, and label the sides. We did that. Step three, pick your trig function. Okay, so if I had to pick my trig function, I'm looking at the formulas, and these we don't have them memorized, but if you didn't write them down, so the sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. So these are formulas that are provided for us on a formula sheet. Okay, so pick a trig function. So again, many of us already did this on the front, but this is the steps. So it looks like I have 10 for the adjacent side and x for the opposite side and nothing for the hypotenuse. So I'm looking for the formula that uses adjacent and opposite. Adjacent and opposite, no, adjacent, there it is, adjacent and opposite. So I'm gonna pick the tangent function. So the tangent of my angle, which is 27, is equal to opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of 27 is, well, what have I labeled opposite? X. What have I labeled adjacent? 10. Cool. Pick the trig function and plug that in. We did that. Pick our trig function and plug it in. Plug in my stuff. And then usually we solve. Solve for whatever it is wanting. And most of the time that's X, although it could be another letter. So we're really down to the last step. We just have to solve. So it doesn't look like we need the cruise swap here. Just looks like we need to get X by itself. So X here is being multiplied by 10 on both sides, or X is being divided by 10. So if I multiplied by 10 on the right and the left, then this side would then say X is equal to 10 times the tangent of 27. Okay, so how do you type this in your calculator? 10 times 27 tangent, enter. Don't forget that enter. Okay, it said round to the nearest tenth. So that's just one number after the decimal. So 5.09 would round up to 5.1. Awesome. Let's do another. So again, if you think I'm going to fast through the steps, you just go back to the steps. But here's my angle, right? This one's opposite. Or slow the video down. So I notice nothing is happening at opposite. So I need cosine because that one doesn't need opposite. So cosine of 39 is adjacent over hypotenuse. That's my formula. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of 39 would be, my adjacent side is X and my hypotenuse says 7. Interesting. So kind of like last time, X is being divided by 7, so to get it to look, I could multiply by 7 on both sides. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, so now I just have the X there. And I still have this 7 times the cosine 39. So 7 times the cosine of 39. So 39 cosine, enter. And I get 5.4. All right, and that number is less than my hypotenuse, so that number makes sense. Let's go to the next one. My angle is here. This is opposite adjacent. So most students are really familiar with our tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of 23 is equal to, the opposite is x, and the adjacent is 6. So last step, we're going to solve by getting x by itself on one side. So it looks like this would be equal 6 times the tangent of 23. So 6 times 23 tangent, enter, 2.5. Notice, again, makes sense because it's a little smaller than 6. This one I also have both of the legs. So this is opposite adjacent. So tangent of the 72 is opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 72 can be written. Opposite is x, adjacent is 20. And multiply 20 on both sides. We get x is equal to 20 times the tangent of 72. 20 times 72 tangent, enter, 61.6. 61.6. Okay, that kind of makes sense because that's 20, and this one looks quite a bit longer than 20. Whoa. Well, this is both of the legs again, not the hypotenuse. This is going to be our tangent. So let's type this in. 10 times 25 tangent, enter, 4.7. All right, reference angle. So that's opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. So I need the trig function that doesn't need the adjacent. So this one doesn't have the adjacent. See how these other two have adjacent. So I have opposite and hypotenuse, so I need sine. Sine of 46 is opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of 46 is 8 over x. Woo, now I can do the cruise swap. So if I swap these places, I got x and that. Okay, so now I just have to be careful typing that into my calculator. What is 8 divided by the sine of 46? So 8 divided by 46 sine, enter, 11.1. And that's a little bigger than 8, so that makes sense. These opposite and adjacent. I don't have information on the hypotenuse, so we know that one's tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 46. I labeled 7 the opposite and x the adjacent. So I'm going to swap spots. The x goes up here, the 7 stays where it was, and the tangent of 46 goes below there. So 7 divided by tangent of 46. 7 divided by the tangent of 46. Enter, 6.8. So you look here, aha, it's a little, and it should be pretty close because 46 is close to 45. Here's my reference angle. This is my hypotenuse, adjacent. Okay, so I have nothing over here on my opposite side, just information on adjacent and hypotenuse. So that's going to be cosine. Cosine of 54 is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of 54 would be x over 12. The swap won't help, but what will help is if I multiply by 12 on both sides. All right, so 12 times the cosine of 54. 12 times 54 cosine, enter, 70.1. Awesome. All right, let's go to the back. Now, hopefully you practiced this enough. We could start kind of squishing some of the steps together. So opposite hypotenuse is sine. Sine of 40 is x over 19. So I gotta multiply both sides by 19. Check out the next video for the rest of the back.